Kia ora and welcome to this episode of the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Aotearoa New Zealand. My co-host is Ammie.
Kia ora.
Today we're discussing Chapter 10 of Northanger Abbey. In Chapter 10, there are theatrics at the theatre, as Isabella tries to get Catherine to tease her and pretends to be interested in meeting Mr. Tilney. Catherine meets Miss Tilney in the pump room and divulges her crush, completely unaware of doing so. Catherine finally dances with Mr. Tilney. Thorpe interrupts and Tilney talks about marriage and dancing. A walk is planned. A lot happens in this chapter.
A lot happens in this chapter.
Give 3 separate things all in one.
The previous social event chapter that we discussed is of similar length, but drags so much because Catherine doesn't want to be around any of the people that she's around. And it's just make it stop. But then this one, first thought is that truly, Isabella speaks in paragraphs. A sentence of scene setting and then a full paragraph of Isabella just talking. 5 lines later is oh, I will never talk to your brother this evening. I'll simply only talk to you. And then Isabella smiled incredulously and talked the rest of the evening to James. You lying, babes?
Yes.
Was that lying that I do here?
But she does that thing again, that I will not speak another word to you. I charge you not to expect it. To call them Morland, it's easier than doing the James John thing. On purpose to bring him in again, like she did at the ball about Tilney.
Because by mentioning him, you have opened the conversation to include him.
But she wants to be teased by Catherine. Our opinions were so exactly the same. I think she is lying. I think she is very much a city girl, not a country girl, but she wants to pretend that she and she and Morland have so much in common. It's such a flattering thing to be like, oh, yes, I like everything that you like.
That's not what builds the foundation of a strong, stable marriage.
But I feel like she just wants to get married and does not really care.
Yes.
But she's asking for Catherine to tease her.
Yeah, and Catherine is not picking up on that.
Not at all.
Catherine's no, I'd be far too nice and polite to my friend to tease my friend. No.
I'm sure it would never have entered my head. Isabella is... I know you better than you know yourself. I feel like lots of people are telling Catherine stuff like that.
Yeah. And in fairness, sometimes they're right. Miss Tilney knowing Catherine's crush immediately and Catherine not knowing that she's disclosed that.
That is so cute.
It's so cute. It's so very clearly I'm glad that you think we can be friends, but I can immediately see why you want us to be friends.
You can already see parallels being drawn between Miss Tilney and Isabella. There was the whole, they need to go to the pump room to meet each other because that's how she and Isabella became friends. But Miss Tilney met her with great civility, returned her advances with equal goodwill, and they talked about regular stuff, basically. They had the merit of being spoken with simplicity and truth without personal conceit. Very different Isabella.
Yes.
And at the end of the chapter, I wonder if Catherine's being a little bit like Isabella with the, speaking in terms that made her all eagerness to know about the walks around Bath. So maybe she's being a bit like Isabella. And they're like, well, do you want to come with us? And she is super excited. So much so that she's dancing in the chair on her way home, which I think is probably pissing off the people that are carrying her.
Yeah, I do love that in the dance with Mr. Tilney, again, and it's something that I do keep kind of noticing when he is actually in a position to be able to talk to her, is that their conversations are balanced. They're saying the same amount to each other and they're both listening to each other, which is something that we haven't really seen in text with the other relationship dynamics.
As you were saying about Isabella, whole paragraph, 1 sentence from Catherine. Whole paragraph from Isabella, 1 sentence from Catherine. And then Mrs. Ellen, she just repeats the same thing over and over, so Catherine just starts tuning her out.
Yeah.
Oh, and John Thorpe, much talking.
Yeah. Paragraph, sentence, paragraph that refutes the previous paragraph. But yeah, with Tilney, he is having fun conversations with her. like, dancing is just like being married, except that it's different in these two ways. And she's like, what are you on about? But it's a fun conversation that they keep going throughout the dance until it hits a point where it's, I assume, like a very confusing set of steps where you suddenly need to be paying attention to what you're doing so you don't bump into someone.
Oh, he's also just such a good conversationalist and such a great flirt.
Yes.
And when John Thorpe comes to talk to her, he's like, should I be jealous? He's a friend of my brother's, I kind of have to. Oh, really? She's like, look, I don't want to talk to anybody but you. He's like, okay, cool, very good.
Yep.
Excellent. Very clear.
Yeah, but also, like, he rocks up and he's like, no, I'm sure that you promised to dance with me this entire dance, like, a month ago. I'm sure. It's like, dude.
I wonder you should think so, for you never asked me. He's like, well, I asked you as soon as I came into the room, and I was going to do it again. Why do you need to do it again if you'd already asked?
Yeah. If you'd asked me the moment that I came into the room, you see, as a good person who follows promises that I make, I would have done what I did the last time we were supposed to be dancing together and just ignored everyone else who asked me to dance because you wandered off. But you didn't ask me to dance, so I'm not going to ignore them. Get stuffed, boy!
And he's calling her the prettiest girl in the room, and she's like, oh, your friends will never think of me in that description. She's so modest, like, trying to flatter her, and she's like, what are you talking about?
She's like, oh, if you told them that, then you definitely need to dance with someone else, because they'll think you're a moron.
Catherine is such a delight. Conversation that she and Mr. Tilney are having about how a marriage is like a dance partner thing is really interesting. And he says those men who do not choose to dance or marry themselves have no business with the partners or wives of their neighbours. But I think that leaves a loophole where if you're married, you can sleep with other people's wives.
I think so. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And he makes a really good point, though, about the role of women, that in marriage, in dancing, men has the advantage of choice. You cannot ask a man to dance. You cannot ask a man to marry. I mean, you can now, but not then. And women only the power of refusal. So you basically have to wait around for a guy to approach you, because also if you're showing him like, hi, I'm here, I'm available, you could be seen as a bit of a slag.
Yeah.
It's a mind fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's very mononormative. Mm-hmm. They belong exclusively to each other until it's dissolved. And although this I like, it's their duty to endeavour to give the other no cause for wishing that they have bestowed themselves elsewhere. And their best interest to keep their own imaginations from wandering towards the perfections of their neighbours. But I like that they established before. Oh no, they established that after that she's not interested in John Thorpe, because that conversation could have gone quite differently.
Yes.
And then they talk about how great Bath is, and she refers to being in the country, only having Mrs. Ellen to talk to, and he says that's a picture of intellectual poverty. And I wonder if he's mocking Mrs. Ellen, because really, Mrs. Ellen.
Yeah. Like, the thing is that Mrs. Allen very clearly has one thing she cares about, and that is fashion.
I don't think she's consistent.
She is consistent. And, like, if you needed a dress short notice for a very niche occasion, you would go to Mrs. Allen and she would be able to sort you out. You would be the best dressed for that niche occasion. Unfortunately, if you need anything else, as we have been shown, because Catherine has needed other stuff. She has needed someone to introduce her to people. She has needed someone to give her the, like, foundational structures of being in a society. And it's just not there.
That is very true. The Ellens at this point feel like background characters. She's living with them and they're barely apparent. Feels a little
I think in some way, but also, like, Catherine's 17.
Yeah.
You know, she's 17. She's being introduced to people who she hasn't known her entire life for the first time. There's a lot more exciting stuff than the people who lived up the road for her entire life and have, you know, taken her with them. And also, the Allens don't seem particularly keen on having much to do with her and her interests and nurturing that element of the connection as well. Because, like, 17-year-old is not going to, of their own volition, go off and ask about a grown adult's hobbies and interests. Like, that's just not going to happen. She's making friends, some better than others. She's flirting with boys, some better than others. And she's doing teenager stuff. Yes, in a different time period than we would have done teenager stuff, but it is that same element of figuring out your particular niche of the world and how you are going to be going through and engaging with people. Like I said, the Allens haven't really given a proper foundation for her to be able to launch off. They kind of rocked up in Bath and like, cool. Well, we don't have anyone to introduce you to, so, whew, cool. All right, see ya.
I mean, it would have been such a boring holiday for her had they not run into the Thorpes.
Exactly. The thing is that she would have then had to go back home and be like, oh, it was so much fun.
Bath is great.
I can't wait to go back.
I think Austen's mocking Isabella again.
Yes.
When they're at the theatre and Austen says about Isabella wanting to say a few of the many thousand things to Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine very clearly wants her friend to be invested in her.
Yes.
Again, what she was at one point.
Yeah.
She wants to show her Mr. Tilney, and Isabella's all, oh, what I would not give to see him. I'm quite wild with impatience. You must introduce me. I can hardly exist till I see him. Now that's a big thing. But she quickly changes to talking about her clothes and not really looking for him. This is the first time reading it that her going, you must introduce him to me, made me wonder if she saw him and was like, he is a better catch than your brother.
Whether it is like a status hop kind of situation.
I mean, Tilney would never fall for it.
But Catherine would be devastated and also would immediately secede all claim.
When she meets Miss Tilney and when they separate, on Miss Tilney's side with some knowledge of her new acquaintance's feelings, and on Catherine's without the smallest consciousness of having explained them. She's so sweet and innocent, she doesn't realise it. She's like, your brother's so great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's so great.
But again, it's one of those things where, like, it clearly came in far enough into that conversation that Miss Tilney could make that assessment. They had a good introductory conversation talking about Bath and how long are you in Bath and how do you like Bath and the standard kind of conversation that is expected in this environment. And that Catherine did that well enough that when the conversation switched over to Mr. Tilney, it could be like, okay, yeah, clearly this girl has a massive crush, and clearly that is why I was spoken to. But she seems alright. And, like, if anyone is gonna have to, like, marry my brother, like, maybe she's not too bad, you know? Maybe this will be alright.
She goes home and is all like, what am I gonna wear to the ball? What am I gonna wear to the ball? And Austen's like,
just don't.
This is not okay. Dress is a frivolous distraction. Goes on to say that man only can be aware of the insensibility of men towards a new gown. Cool, you dress for yourself. Woman is fine for her own satisfaction alone. No man will admire her the more. No woman will like her the better. Very true, Mrs. Allen. Neatness and fashion are enough for the former, i.e. men, and something of shabbiness or impropriety will be more endearing to women.
Yeah.
Men are like, well, I mean, you're wearing clothes. Excellent. And women are like, well, you don't look as pretty as me, so we're good.
Yeah. But not one of these grave reflections troubled the tranquility of Catherine. I just have thus ends the author rant. Because it is very clearly Austen getting on her soapbox like, all right, folks, here is the thing about dresses. Don't buy a new one just because you're going to a ball tomorrow. They won't notice and then you'll feel sad.
It's true. Like, unless you have an obscene amount of cleavage, men will not notice what you're wearing. Sometimes even then.
Yeah.
Sadly. And we get a comparison to the previous ball that she went to with her very different feelings. Previously, she'd been exulting in her engagement to John Thorpe, and now she wants to avoid him, so he can't. So much so that she hid herself as much as possible from him. And when he spoke to her, she pretends not to hear him.
Yeah.
It is so cute.
After that carriage ride, damn, yeah, I would also be avoiding this man.
Yeah, he's a pain. Oh, with a beating heart, Mr. Tilney appears, and life could not supply any greater felicity. Oh, she's so in love.
She's got a crush. She's got a crush.
That's beautiful. John Thorpe interrupts their dance, which creates the whole marriage dance conversation. Talking about horses again? Like, hi, I don't know this guy. Do you think he wants a horse? I mean, I'd buy it myself, but I need a good hunter. I have 3. Hunters were horses specifically that you use for hunting. Mm-hmm. They are super expensive. Mm-hmm. I doubt very much he has 3 of them. I don't think he could afford it.
Well, we already know that he lies, like, constantly.
True.
I am willing to believe that he has a horse.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one.
And honestly, I don't think he has a good horse. I think he is trying to convince everyone he has a good horse. In fact, I think he's trying to convince everyone that he has several unrelated cool horses, and they are the best horses, and please, why won't anyone sleep with me? My horses are so cool.
He's like never matured out of teenage boy.
No. But he's the one who's still studying at Oxford, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that tracks.
So I think he's the oldest son. And I think he's older than Isabella. So she's 21, so he might be like 22, 23, maybe? And Catherine leaves without seeing Isabella again. Her older, more established friend of whose fidelity and worth she'd enjoyed a fortnight's experience, she scarcely saw anything of during the evening.
You were the new hotness, and now you are not.
Sorry, I'm much more interested in your brother.
Yeah.
And that is our discussion of Chapter 10 of Northanger Abbey. I'm Frances Duncan, and this has been Amme. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading. Thorpe interrupts. That's, I did say that word right.
Interrupts, yeah.
Okay.